Every parent needs to watch this. This video is brought to you by The Officer Tatum Store. The Officer Tatum Store, get the merch link in the description section. We offer discounts to first responders, teachers, nurses. You go down the list. If you are a senior citizen, a student, truck driver, we want to bless you at The Officer Tatum Store. Also, we are hiring writers at Tatum Report. So go to tatumreport.com. You'll be able to get to application process. The Officer Tatum, which link is in the description section. You can also go through there and look up careers, and you will find the application process for writers. And feel free to donate and support Tatum Report. We're rebuilding that website to make it even better and more improved than it was last year. So without further ado, let's get into this. Ladies and gentlemen, every parent should watch this. Every time I go somewhere to an event, a meeting, or whatever the case may be, parents are always asking me, or at least students are always making the complaint that their teachers are pushing this agenda of leftist agendas of racism and anti-white rhetoric and all of these things. So what is the solution, Mr. Tatum? My first initial reaction is that parents need to get involved in their children's schools. I'm not really putting the responsibility consistently on the student, especially if you're in middle school, elementary, middle school, high school, because you're just a kid. And these teachers are going to talk over you, and your opinion doesn't matter. Your mom and them show up to a school board meeting like I'm about to show you right now, and your mom and them show up like this. This is how you get stuff done. You show up at the school in numbers, and you get these people on the school board meeting and vote them out. You go and cause a ruckus. When I say ruckus, I mean legally go and let your voice be heard when you have an opportunity at these school board meetings. Because these dummies are sitting in here just conjuring up stuff if you are not present. And if you are present and you're standing up, you will be able to fight for your child and get these teachers from stop teaching all this foolery. Now, I want you to listen to this. This is about 6 minutes. We're going to watch it together from the beginning. 6 minutes. I'm going to skip this part because it's a little disclaimer. We're going to watch the video, and I love the fact that this guy, you're not going to be able to see him, but he's back here. He's standing up. It looked like he's on the school board, and he's standing up to these other leftists on the school board. It is epic. Watch it, learn, and go to your children's school, and I want you to participate in the school board meeting just like this. Roll the film.
Transformational equity work document, as well as Mr. Kendi's theory, radical theory, unproven, without a lot.
You're not going to see the people talking on screen. This is just a Zoom call, so just mind you. Nobody's talking. You're not going to see them, but you know that they're somewhere on the screen off camera. Roll the film.
Of supporting facts, and I'm deeply concerned for my kids who are in this district.
I have had over a dozen teachers reach out to me, frustrated and upset over what is being thrown their way with this transformational equity work, thanking me for speaking up for them because they can't do it themselves for fear of retaliation and possible discrimination.
Further on, the document references reducing disciplinary action by race, reviewing library books, and hiring based on race, ethnicity, gender identity, faith, sexual orientation, socioeconomic class, and age. You know what? We have fought and battled for equal rights in this country. This doesn't sound like equal rights.
It's not equal rights. You're right, lady. It's not equal rights. This is not right. Keep talking.
Sounds like we're going to go higher based on meeting a quota. And you know what? In the 80s, we played that game.
How do you increase the diversity of applicants?
And this is the sole member on the board that's standing out, and he's in the corner over here behind me. You can barely see him. He got a mask on. It's not like you see him talking, but he's over here describing as a only board member who opposed this BS.
It's by race. That is illegal. The diversity of hiring should be based on applicants' ability to excel at their job, regardless of their skin color. Are they good? Are they bad? Are they good for the job? Are they bad for the job? And to sit here and make a goal about increasing it by race is illegal. And if that goal is absurd, and if HR does not understand it, they should be replaced immediately.
These teachers are already stressed out,
apparent.
overwhelmed, underappreciated, and now the district, with implementation of this TEW, will pit parents against teacher and students against students.
And let me just tell you, my kids
Another parent.
are a minority group. I am Hispanic. Never once have they come home and said that they felt victimized or discriminated against because of their race or ethnicity. Do you want to know why? Because my children are taught at home the value of people, that you treat people the way that their character and integrity defines them in your view.
How is that not the brand standard here? And I'm gonna play a little bit more. How are we even at this point? I don't understand. Are these people just that stupid? Are these people just that dumb? I don't understand why anybody would be trying to go back to discriminatory hiring. How? Let me say this and I'm gonna let him finish. If there's not enough black applicants or qualified black people for the job, then we should pursue helping black people become more qualified. You don't just give them a job based on race. Because when the roles were reversed and people were pursuing it based on race, it was a problem. And to do it now, because it's in the reverse or it's in the opposite direction, makes it okay, is asinine to me. Let me finish.
That is not a place for the district or the board to impose a leftist, and yes, I'm going to make it political because that's exactly what this document is, a leftist rhetoric that has no place in our schools. So I know that we can make public requests for information. I want to know how many complaints the district has received from parents of minority children about this topic that makes it so heavy in the forefront above their academic skills like math, reading, all of those things.
You go, mama. You go, mama.
I drafted the equity statement.
Now, this is the lady this is a school board member who came up with the thing. Dummy right here. My hand is messed up. Not her, but the one on the other side of her. That one. The one over there. Anyway, this is her talking about why she did what she did.
And I chose to use the definition of anti-racism by Kendi. I don't pretend to know everything or have all the solutions, but I can look to others and not reinvent the wheel. I chose to propose this definition of anti-racist because it struck a chord with me personally. And spoke to taking action instead of just sitting by and remaining complicit with the gap in discipline and achievement in our district.
Well, you don't need to convince me because everybody in
the guy who makes the most sense on the school board, who's sitting behind me right here, listen to him talk.
this room knows exactly, and you're just revealing that it's all about your personal feelings, which I don't think anybody out here tax-paying parents are at all interested in, and they're kind of appalled that our school is going in that direction instead of teaching their kids math, reading, true history, character, how to be good citizens, how to be productive to society so they can have happy lives instead of going around whining, complaining. The governing board is responsible to the people of the district, not their own personal experiences, and therefore should be aware of the opinions and attitudes of the community instead of shutting up somebody that expresses them in a board meeting when it's on the agenda, and as representatives of the people who own and support the schools and accept the responsibility to identify community attitudes instead of scorning somebody at a meeting.
You're not going to tell me that your efforts,
and this is a parent,
are better focused on something like Kendi's theory than on my child's academic success. That is not what you're here for. That is not what the educators are here for. And they should not be burdened with shouldering that when the public hasn't had an opportunity to be a part of that process. That is not what you were elected to do. And just as the gentleman said that in June, we have an opportunity to recall members of the board, I'd like to ask those of you who stand with me to support my efforts in recalling the members of the board who are proposing this product, as they call it.
That's exactly what you need to do, parents. Exactly what you need to do. They push this agenda on your children, this fake race hustling stuff that they push on your children, that's all rooted in lies. These people are grifting on these theories of critical race theory and all this other bull that don't mean nothing. It's a hill of lies. It's to divide people. It's bull crap. And when your kid come home telling you that they go up to the school and have a conversation with the principal, have a conversation and go to these school board meetings and let your voice be heard. Your children should not be coming home crying to you about nothing. Because God is my witness. And my oldest son lives with his mom primarily in Seattle. So he goes to school with her. He comes with me during the summer and the little holidays. That's another video. However, if my son were to call me and say, Dad, they're telling me this, I will fly. And if I didn't have the money, I would drive to the school, set up a meeting, and rip them a new one. And they will block me. I will call up there every day. I'll email them every day. I will show up at these meetings. If I got to go and stay down there for a week, to show up every day or at least show up at one of these meetings, maybe 2 weeks, show up at 2 meetings if they do it weekly. If I felt that there was an issue at the school, I will go up there and I will cause a fuss. I don't want my child learning about foolery, brainwashing. There is minimal racism in this country. The diversity of outcome for people is based on the decision making. It's not based on the color, it's decision making. If you decided to smoke crack instead of finishing high school and your children grow up in a impoverished situation, that's your fault. That's not the government's fault. That's not the white man's fault. That's not the boogeyman's fault. That's your fault. You put your children in a bad position. So therefore, they're going to have a higher hill to climb. That's your fault. And you should not feel guilty if you were able to maximize your opportunities and put your children in a great position to succeed, which pushed them ahead of the game. You shouldn't feel bad about it. And if your kids happen to be white and that happen to be your situation, there ain't nothing wrong with it. That means that you did your part and other people are not doing their part. I know plenty of black people that are very successful. Their kids go to private school. They've made positive decisions. Even on the football team, you got dudes that went to prison. One of them was most wanted on our board that I played football with. He was on the board. And I don't even want to put his name out there. I said, De La Sean Dean. We played ball with De La Sean Dean. I think he went to prison just recently for home invasions and stuff. We are on the same football team. And then you have somebody like Antoine Cason, who is excelling, who had 2 degrees when he graduated, who played in the NFL, when they both had the talent to do so. One wanted to be a thug, and the other one did what was right. And now he's successful. Now he's going around the country doing great things. There's two gentlemen, 2 black men, same football team, same coaches, same everything. They have the same opportunities because it doesn't matter where you come from. It matters where you at. And you're both in college making the same money on a scholarship check. You both have access to tutoring and everything related to education. 2 different decisions were made. And therefore, De La Sean Dean's children are going to have a harder hill to climb than Antoine Cason's children. It's just the way it is. I can go down the list. Many of folk, I know a dude, my friend Mike, I'll leave it at that. He became a police officer. Donald became a police officer. Their children are set up to succeed. And I know some other knuckleheads who's still in the hood, got gold teeth in their mouth, gangbanging, when we had the same opportunities. Stop with all this lying. Disproportionality of outcome does not mean discrimination or racism. That has nothing to do with it. If black people are disproportionately represented in the criminal justice system, don't blame the criminal justice system. Look at why this is happening. And then you can look at the criminal justice system. When you look at the overrepresentation of black people in prison and in whatever, all you got to do is look at the behaviors of a culture of people who half of the murders in this country are committed by like 2% of the population in our country, who are your black people, mostly black men. So how does 2% of the population commit half of the murders in our country? And I'm giving a rough number of 2%. How did I get to that number? Black people only make up 13% of the population. If you wanted to say half of black people were murderers and criminals and the criminal element of society, that would be a lie. That puts you, right around 6.5%. So we know half of black people aren't murderers. Half of black people aren't of the criminal element. Let's just cut it down in thirds, or cut it down in half of that. So you say 3%. So you're looking at what, a fourth, and if my math is right, you're looking at a fourth of the black community is criminal element. Okay, let's say that's true. That's only 3% of the United States population commit half of the murders. Over half of all violent crimes are committed by 3% of the population. That's if a fourth of black people are criminals. That number could be way less than that. 3% of the American population is committing all the murders, half of the murders, and over half of all violent crimes in this country. And you wonder why black people are being disproportionately represented. And you put all the numbers together and you say, this has nothing to do with the police department. This has everything to do with what black people are doing that necessitate a police response. When you look at black people, say black people getting over sentencing. White people do the same crime and get higher and get lesser sentences. Well, when you look at the criminal element in the black community and all of the aggravated charges that are attached in the history of criminality within these black suspects that are found guilty, you are looking at behavior that's necessitating higher sentencing than the court system. That's why none of this would ever change, because it's not the court system that's the problem. It's not the police department that's the problem. It's culture. And I say culture is the problem, not color, because there are black people that are very successful. So you're not bound by your color. It's culture. Black people that abide by that gangster, dead black culture, they're the ones that get affected by this. People that adopt a successful black culture and a successful American culture, those people are typically millionaires and people who are doing very well with themselves. And you don't have to be a millionaire to be successful, but these people are the 1% of the accelerators in our society. That's just the way it is. So stop lying to our children and making excuses. Because black people don't value education culturally the way Asian people do, the way white people do, that don't mean the school system is broken. When I was in school, if you were smart, you trying to be white. You get bullied if you're being smart. I never see white people bullying each other because they smart. At least not in the way that I see black people doing it. If you wear your pants around your waist and you want to have a clean cut and be professional, and you don't talk with a slang and sound like you a gangbanger, people make fun of you. You trying to be white. White people don't make fun of other white people for being smart. Not that I know of. They don't make fun of other white people for talking proper, unless you're in the South. Other than that, it's not generally thought of to be such a big deal in these other communities. But in the black community, oh no. You're a coon Uncle Tom sellout if you don't vote for Democrats. Like, I just want people to understand it's culture. So they need to start teaching that the culture is the problem, and that people need to develop a more of a conducive, I almost want to call it assimilated American culture. And if you do that, you'll be successful. That's it. You don't need to change the court system. You don't need to change the police department. Change yourself. Change what you're doing. Y'all want to change the world, but you don't want to change. It's like, which one is easier? To change the world or for you to change? Which one is easier for you to do? I wish that I can have this be one little clip so y'all can get it. Which is easier? to change the world or for you to change yourself? The answer is very easy. The man in the mirror is very easily changeable because you see that fool every day. And you know what that fool thinking. And you know what make him tick. And if you work on fixing that dude, and if everybody work on fixing themselves, the whole world has changed with minimal effort to you. But if you sit around waiting for the world to change, you sit around waiting for a sign to fall out the sky on top of your head for things to become better in your life, you are being an ignorant person who will never succeed in life. Stop waiting on somebody else to change and you change yourself. Stop waiting on police reform and you stop cutting up and acting a fool and getting pulled over by the police. Stop waiting for police reform and you become a police officer and you serve your own community. Stop waiting for them to go find the Ku Klux Klan out in the middle of nowhere and you start treating people with respect. You treat people based on the character that they present, not the color of their skin. You do it first. You love your neighbor first. And then you can complain about everybody else. I talk about this for 45 more minutes. But I know y'all want to watch the rest of my videos. Every parent needs to watch this video. Every parent needs to become bold. Stand up for your children. These people are taking over our schools. They're killing the American spirit, and you need to be a part of it. I love you guys. I don't need to say nothing else. I'll see you on the next one.